All right, let's talk about YouTube. It's one of those things that feels like it's always been there, right? But its story is pretty incredible. It starts, like so many tech stories do, in a garage, and it ends up completely changing media, culture, you name it. It changed how we see the entire world. So, let's get into it.
And really, the whole thing starts with this one simple question. How on earth did a kind of blurry 18-second video of a guy at the zoo talking about elephants of all things, how did that become the first tiny spark of a multi-billion-dollar revolution? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning.
So here's how we're going to break down this incredible story. We're going to look at it in 4 big chapters. First, we'll start in 2005 with that simple, brilliant idea. Then we'll get to the rocket ship moment in 2006 when Google stepped in and just poured gasoline on the fire. After that, we'll see how YouTube went from just a video site to building a full-on media empire. And finally, we'll look at where it is today, a true global power, which, as you can imagine, comes with a whole lot of baggage.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 2005. You've got these 3 guys, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim. They were all early employees at PayPal, and when eBay bought PayPal, they suddenly found themselves with some serious cash. So, like any good tech entrepreneurs, they were on the hunt for the next big thing.
Now, how they actually got the idea for YouTube, well, that's kind of become a modern myth. For years, the official story was that they were at a dinner party, shot some videos, and got frustrated because there was no easy way to share them. But here's the thing, one of the co-founders, Jawed Karim, tells a different story. He says the real light bulb moment came from not being able to find clips of huge pop culture events, like the Janet Jackson Super Bowl incident or footage of the 2004 tsunami. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which story you believe. The point is the same. There was this massive, obvious problem. It was just way too hard to find and share videos online. So they went for it. They registered the domain youtube.com on Valentine's Day 2005. And just a couple of months later, on April 23rd, Jawed Karim uploaded that very first video. He was at the San Diego Zoo, and the title couldn't have been more straightforward. Me at the Zoo.
And that's basically the whole script. I mean, it's not slick, right? It's not some big production. He's not trying to sell you anything. It's just a guy making a simple observation. And in a way, that's what made it so perfect. It was the absolute essence of user-generated content, which would become the heart and soul of the entire platform.
And it really didn't take long for things to catch on. In December of 2005, this one Saturday Night Live sketch called Lazy Sunday got uploaded, unofficially of course, and it just blew up. We're talking over 5 million views, which was massive back then. All of a sudden, here was the proof. YouTube could actually shape mainstream culture. But there was a huge problem. That problem was copyright. NBC Universal was not happy and demanded they take it down. This was really the first shot in a war over copyright that would follow YouTube for years and years.
Now, that kind of viral explosion, even with the legal headaches, does not go unnoticed. By the middle of 2006, the site was getting a mind-boggling 100 million video views a day. And you can bet the biggest names in Silicon Valley were watching very, very closely. The little garage project was about to hit the big time.
And then, in October 2006, Google made its move. Think about this. Less than 2 years after that simple zoo video, Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion, all in stock. See, Google didn't just see a place to watch funny videos. They saw a community. They saw the future of advertising. And they saw this absolute goldmine of data about what people actually cared about. It was a huge, huge gamble, but man, was it about to pay off.
So with all of Google's resources behind it, YouTube rolled out a new slogan, broadcast yourself. And this wasn't just some clever marketing line. It was a mission. It was basically an open invitation to, well, to everyone. Pick up a camera, any camera, and share your thing, your world, your weird hobbies, your opinions. This was it. The age of the YouTuber was officially here. And what happened when you invited the whole world to broadcast itself? Just astronomical growth. The numbers are kind of hard to wrap your head around. In 2011, people were uploading 48 hours of video every single minute. By 2014, that number jumped to 300 hours a minute. And by 2019, over 500 hours of video were being uploaded every 60 seconds. It's just insane. It became this endless, unstoppable fire hose of content.
But, you know, being the biggest video library in the history of the world, apparently that wasn't enough. Starting around 2014, with a new CEO, Susan Wojcicki, at the helm, YouTube's ambition got even bigger. They weren't just a platform anymore. They wanted to become a full-blown media empire, ready to take on everybody. And this ambition kicked off a huge expansion. You can see it as a series of strategic moves, right? They saw Netflix dominating streaming, so they launched YouTube Premium for original content. They saw Spotify and Apple Music cornering audio, so they launched YouTube Music. They looked at the old cable companies and said, we can do that, and launched YouTube TV. They needed a walled garden for kids, so they created YouTube Kids. And of course, when TikTok came along and changed the game, their answer was YouTube Shorts. Every single one of these was a direct shot at a competitor trying to conquer another piece of the media pie.
Okay, but with all that power, with that incredible, unprecedented scale, there's always a cost. With global influence, you get global problems. And when you're running a platform where literally a third of the human race hangs out, you start running into challenges that, frankly, nobody in history has ever had to deal with before.
So to finally get a handle on that huge copyright problem we talked about, YouTube built this thing called Content ID. It's this incredibly powerful automated system that basically scans every single video that gets uploaded to see if it contains copyrighted material. And while, look, they had to do something, it was controversial from day one. A ton of creators started saying the system was way too aggressive, that it was flagging their videos unfairly and killing creativity. And this really gets to the core conflict of YouTube, right? It's like two sides of the same coin. On one hand, it's this incredible tool. It gave a voice to citizen journalists during things like the Arab Spring. It provides free education from places like Khan Academy to millions of people. But the flip side is, it's also been a massive engine for spreading misinformation. It's been slammed for inconsistent censorship, for major privacy screw-ups, including a monster $170 million fine for not protecting kids' data.
Which brings us to today, the YouTube of right now. That little startup that was just trying to solve a simple problem, it is now, and this is not an exaggeration, one of the most powerful forces for communication in the history of humanity.
Just think about this number for a second. 2.7 billion. That's how many people actively use YouTube every single month. More than 1 out of every 3 people on this planet logs on to watch, to learn, to connect. You can't overstate that kind of influence. It's almost impossible to comprehend.
So we end up right back where we started. But the question is so much more complicated now. The original promise, right? Broadcast yourself. Give everyone a voice. Well, after nearly 2 decades of changing the entire world, the one question that really hangs over YouTube's entire legacy is this. When you give everyone a voice, who's responsible for what they say?